my gosh, this is your deck?
Yeah, I know. It's time to pull a card. On today's episode of the Fool Podcast, we talk about all things breakup. What does it mean to have an anxious attachment style? How do you heal from breakups? And how do you embody energy of self-love, self-worth, and transparency? We talk about following your intuition, listening to the clues, and just moving forward on your journey. Have a listen. Welcome to the Fool Podcast. Hey. Hey. What are we going to get today? Oh. It wasn't just one card, it was two. What? Whoa! Justice and the Queen of Pentacles. What does that mean? Wow! Someone's gonna get justice through success. You? No, you.
Heaven forbid it be us. Heaven forbid it be our turn.
I mean, honestly, yeah, it's our turn. It's our turn. No, that's funny. I mean, the Justice card kind of talks about just like things coming back to balance and being in order. The Queen of Pentacles is very much so. The Pentacles are all about the material world. And in this card specifically, it's funny, like kind of the smirk on her face too, and the devil. Yeah, I mean, she's just poised. She's confident. She knows like that what's coming her way is better than what left, and that she doesn't have to create justice. Justice will just happen on its own. So it's out of your hands, my dear.
It's out of my hands.
It's out of your hands. And I think it's a good lesson. Like, you know, this cat. So it's funny because the Queen of Pentacles too, and then with the devil at play, it's like sometimes we want to be petty, right? I mean, I don't know. I sometimes want to be petty.
I want to be petty. That's my calling in life. I have to be petty.
And it's saying to pour that energy back into yourself.
It's saying grow up, be mature. It's a nice way to say.
It's a nice way to say
don't do it.
Grow up and to not follow. The devil is all about your patterns, your cycles, the things that you do that you know aren't great for you. The addiction. Sometimes it can be addicting to want to continuously try to show your worth. And the thing with the Justice card and the Queen of Pentacles is that she doesn't have to show her worth. She knows her worth. She is worthy. And so she just sits on her throne and she has her plants and she has her money and she has a beautiful life, and that's enough. That's enough for her. I know.
She doesn't seek revenge.
She doesn't seek revenge because she doesn't need to, because she's rich, bitch. I know.
For those just tuning in, I got broken up with.
Dun, dun, dun. I also don't call him I call him Hunter because I'm just like, he's irrelevant. Like, I don't even know his real name. Like, I don't even care. But you did get a breakup survival kit.
I did.
Should we share?
Yes.
Should we share so that other girlies can make a breakup survival
yes.
kit? Okay.
The breakup survival kit was brought to me promptly by Chelsea, which, thank goodness. It starts with, so she got me a celebratory snack to celebrate my tiny wins, which I went to work that day, so I had one.
Baby steps. Baby steps is essential in breakups.
Huge. Then she got me peanut butter cups because, duh. Then she got me a rose quartz heart that was...
Well, it was passed on because it was my healing rose quartz. And then it was passed on to you to help heal your heart.
And I would say that has accelerated some healing.
It does.
When I think about how it helped you so much, I literally sit there every night and I'm like, if Chelsea can do it, I can do it. If Chelsea can do it, I can do it. Anyway, you cleansed it with rose water.
I did. Well, I cleansed it with sage and then I sprayed rose water on it. Because the idea is that you want to remove and then you want to replenish. So for those of you that ever like cleanse your space, remember that it's important that you also put back into your space. And rose is a high vibrational frequency scent, roses are just beautiful. And roses are also the embodiment of the feminine. Sage is gonna, she is in trouble. Yeah, so the thing that I love about rose too, especially when it comes to the feminine, is that the rose is delicate, but the thorns protect it. So it's just a message of being beautiful and being radiant, but also having boundaries.
Totally. Which is
Which is hard.
because I'd rather be petty.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a time and place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes the time and place is to be petty.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's just to sit on your throne. It's just to sit on your throne and to know your worth and know who you are.
Totally. Okay, well then the last piece of the breakup kit was a soul tie severance ceremony, which I haven't done yet, speaking transparently, because
It's hard.
nervous.
Yeah.
But walk me through that. What is...
Yeah. So it's a practice that it's a cord transmuting ceremony. And what it is that if you feel tied with somebody that you feel isn't great for you, you can take 2 candles and tie a rope around it and light the candles and allow them to burn. And naturally the candle will burn the rope and release it. And the idea is that you're just creating a ritual saying, I want to release this pattern. I want to release this connection. And I want to transmute my attachments into something healthier and something better for me.
Okay, but there is a safety warning that needs to be attached.
There's a safety warning because I have done this before. And this was like one of the first times that I was like, oh, damn, like this shit's really powerful. You have to be careful, I think, with these types of things and be really intentional. And my big intention with this one specifically is like I have a pattern and a cycle that I'm continuously creating. And I want to break the tie with this pattern because it's not just a particular person. There's been, multiple people that have come in my life have shown me this pattern. And so for me, I was like, I want to break ties with this pattern. It's a generational pattern that was passed on by my mom. And I knew that and I felt that and I knew it was time to let it go. But I had rose petals in the bottom.
Obviously.
And they were dried. And when the rope burnt, it fell into the plate and the rose petals caught fire and then the plate broke in half. It was crazy.
Results
is that I'm the fucking Queen of Pentacles now.
Yes.
I think it's still taking work. The thing about these practices is, well, they can be such a beautiful symbolic ceremony too, just like a marriage is a ceremony. That's all it is. It's a ritual. It's a ceremony. And the idea is that you're just doing something to honor something, to create some sort of momentum, to get something different. But I say this all the time where people will be like, oh, I saw a Reiki master and all these different things, but then they continue to repeat the same patterns. You have to act differently in order to embody the energy. So you can do a million cord cutting ceremonies if you want, but if you don't understand why you keep putting yourself back into a pattern, you're going to get the same results no matter what. And so it's really important, I think, too, if you go see someone who's doing Reiki, they're working on your throat chakra. Let's say you have a block in your throat chakra, but then you don't start to speak your truth. Nothing is actually going to change. And I think that, I don't know if it's like a common misconception from, some of the people before us, to where it was like this idea that you would just go get Reiki done and then all of a sudden you were this changed person. While yes, I do feel that Reiki and those different things have helped me so much, it's taken so much of my own will and my own grit to actually make different decisions in my life, to create different patterns and behaviors, to get to the place that I want to be. And truly having just people who support along the path has been everything to me. I think even more, because the thing is that while I felt good maybe, for a week or two after getting energy work done, if I just went back into the same old patterns, it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. So it's really about embodying and being the person that you really want to be.
I'm so intrigued. Well, okay, I have 2 thoughts on this.
Yeah.
First being, I think that Miss Queen Girl is totally that. Like, she's just as powerful as like any crystal in this house.
Totally.
Like, she's just like a reminder of like everything you've done, everything you've been through, everything you are now. Like,
this is the Queen of Pentacles. This is the Queen of Pentacles. This is because she has plants around her too. This is the idea of when I focus my energy on myself and I don't, like, I take that energy that I want to take to get back at someone or to whatever that it is, and I pour it back into myself. I nurture it. I water myself. I repot myself. I do all the things that I need to do to take care of myself. Then you grow, and you grow beyond that connection. Respectfully, there isn't a single person that I'm not with anymore that I'm like, oh, fuck, I really wish I was still with that person. Eventually, when I grow into the person who I'm meant to be, I realize that that wasn't the connection for me, and I don't want that connection. And it's because I gave myself, and to be honest with you, I have to be very transparent. A lot of the relationships, I feel like I was just using them to fill voids within myself that I had a hard time. I didn't even realize there were voids. I just thought like, oh, I'm in love. But while there was a lot of love there, and I think highly of a few of my exes, it's
a few of them.
Yeah,
don't get it twisted.
Not
because
all.
I don't think highly of any of you.
There's a couple. I don't know. There's good and bad. There's things that I like respect and I'm grateful for, and then there's things that I'm like, thank God, you know. But the whole point is that a lot of it, when I look back, I'm like, oh, I was just really lacking something, and they were filling that for me, and then I learned to give it to myself, and then therefore that's what really grew me out of it. That's what really cuts cords and breaks karmic ties, is when you actually learn the lesson and you transmute the energy and you choose differently. So you can do as many rituals as you want, but I know girls firsthand that do that and they go back into the same cycles. And so while it's something that's so beautiful and so powerful, if you aren't learning the lesson, you're just going to repeat the pattern with somebody else, and then you're going to need to do a cord cutting ceremony with them. So it's really, really, really about the work that you do post the breakup and the love that you give to yourself and pour into yourself. And then ta-da!
I've literally been saying that I'm going plant mode. Like,
yeah.
When everything falls apart and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm supposed, like, what's my next move? No idea. Everything's fell apart. I've literally gone plant mode. I'm like, okay, I need sun. I need water. I need a new pot every now and again. I need, like, you know, change locations, hydrate, lay in the sun. Like, I'm literally no better than a plant right now.
But that's it though. Like, that is, I think there's so much beauty and so much power in that. And I think that a lot of people, unfortunately, and everyone's on their own path and it's fine, but people will turn to unhealthy substances or patterns of behavior, and that's part of the process too. Like, when I like, it's funny because it feels like such a long time ago, but when I was like 31, 32, like, I was partying every weekend, I was drinking, I was, you know, and I'm not doing that anymore, but it served a purpose for me. It served a purpose. And so my whole point is I'm not knocking anyone who might be on that journey or that path right now.
My girls and I have been out every weekend.
Yeah. But you're also doing the other things that you need to do that are also contributing to your growth and your health, and that is taking care of yourself. I think if you can do anything after a breakup, it's take care of yourself and give yourself the things that the person was giving you that you want and desire from them. And the other thing I would say from, you know, healing from breakups and any sort of bad habits or patterns is replacing it with something else. So if you would spend every Tuesday with this person doing X, Y, and Z, find something new to do on Tuesdays so that you're actually replacing it. And I told this to a friend a couple days ago. My dad was a smoker. And it's interesting because he told me, I said, Dad, how did you quit smoking? And he said, you know, I didn't even like set out to quit smoking. I decided one day to run to work. And then I decided the next day to run to work. And then I realized that smoking was hurting me when I was trying to run. And so I just started running. This guy's fastest marathon was like 2 hours and 20 minutes back in like 89.
Your dad?
Yeah.
An athlete.
Yeah, he's a
smoker to athlete pipeline.
Smoker to athlete pipeline.
Not very well trod.
Breakup to success. Just find something
So
new.
true.
It's the same thing with me with alcohol. I've been on this like fitness journey, and it's like I don't mind drinking. I don't feel great when I drink, but I work out every single morning at 7 or 8 a.m., including on weekends. If I drink, I feel like shit and I can't really work out. So I'd rather not drink so that I can work out. You have to find something that's healthier, that makes you happier, that naturally replaces the things that you want to get rid of.
Totally.
And that's alchemy. That's literally alchemizing energy. My dad took his addictive personality and he took it away from cigarettes and he put it into running. He has an addictive personality. That's okay. You don't have to get rid of your addictive personality. You just have to channel that energy into something different that's better for you and more healthy for you. But it's hard.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, future Brighton is going to do that. I know she is.
But it's a process. It takes time. There's so many things I feel like in my life that at one period I really, really, really wanted, and it just wasn't working out. It was like, oh, I really want to, I don't even know. I can't even think of an example right now. But then all of a sudden one day I was like, oh, that doesn't even bother me anymore. Sometimes it's just about timing as well. You don't have to rush yourself. And if you're on a journey, just be patient with yourself.
Yeah. Okay, I'm also intrigued by energy work and like Reiki. It's stuff that I've heard about, and actually I grew up doing gymnastics, and my old gymnastics coach is like super into Reiki. And I have no idea what it is. What's your experience with it?
Yeah, so I'm certified in Reiki. I don't necessarily sit people down on tables and do energy work. I think I do energy work through talking, through sound baths. And that's kind of my modality. But the idea is that you learn about the different chakras and you learn how to move energy and how to remove blockages. And that's what energy work is. And there's different symbols and things that you can do to help people move energy. You can also receive messages if you're a Reiki master sometimes from the person's guides. It's kind of like channeling and doing readings. And the guides can kind of help you understand certain blockages or areas that they may need help in. And then you can work with the energy and move the energy in the body. The thing is that if you have a deeply, like I said, rooted generational pattern or something that is like continuous in your life, that energy can potentially come back. And there may be some Reiki masters that can completely remove energy for good, but I've yet to see that. I think that it takes a lot of personal work in addition. I think all of this stuff is about body, mind, and soul. I went to therapy. I did energy work. I moved my body. And I think all of those things together as a combination is really what helped me grow. And if I just would have went to straight Reiki and not have done anything else, I wouldn't have even realized the patterns, right? Or even like somatic therapy helped me learn how to tap into my own body and how to move energy within my own body. And I think that if I were to give any advice, sure, go see a Reiki master and get work done. But I would encourage you to learn about yourself and how to move energy within yourself so that you don't fall back into those patterns. But it's very helpful. And there were times where I was at rock bottom, and some of these practices I think were so essential to my healing and my growth, but they weren't the only thing that helped me through. It was a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah. I've definitely found that, like, I've been going to yoga. And even though,
helpful.
like you're saying, like, yoga alone isn't going to, like, change my life or anything, it feels like something that I'm physically doing that will, like, improve what I'm doing.
And it kind of can change your life, to be honest with you, because it can yoga created a pathway and a doorway for me, same with Buddhism, to continue on a path of healing and just a trajectory of understanding myself. And I think that, yes, okay, maybe not just going to yoga alone, but in a sense, some of these things like running alone essentially helped my dad quit smoking, right? But so there are certain things that we can do that can substantially change our lives. So don't get me wrong. I just really want to, when I say that about energy work specifically, I just want people to understand the importance of them changing their own actions. But yoga can lead you to changing your actions. Running led my dad to changing his actions. It made him want to quit smoking because he wanted to run more than he wanted to smoke.
That's so interesting. I'm so intrigued by this. Like, he woke up one day and he's like, I'm gonna run to work. Like, where did that come from?
I don't know. I think, you know, it's God, it's blessings. Like, I think if so many of us, we listened more and followed our instincts, we are led to such beautiful things. I could tell you 50 million stories about times where I've listened to my intuition and it's led me to something beautiful. I'll actually tell you a story because this one is probably the most powerful one. I was going to a car wash, and I came out of the car wash and there was only like one spot open next to somebody else to vacuum my car. I don't know. Sometimes I just like get in moods where I'm like, oh, I don't want to be next to someone. Like, I just want to vacuum.
Yes. Especially at the car wash, I'm like, if there's not like an extra space between everybody, I'm like, I don't need to vacuum my
you're
car
not
this
pulling
time.
up next to someone.
No,
but I
like,
had
whatever.
no choice
Yeah.
to pull up next to this person. So I pull up and I start vacuuming my car, and it was a native man. And he said, I have a Tesla. And he said, that's a really nice car. Do you ever have problems, you know, charging it? And so I started a conversation with him, and he was saying, I live on the reservation and I don't know how close
Where were
the
you?
nearest. I was in, this is when I worked at Connect. So I was in Pleasant Grove. I was in that area. Like, I wasn't quite to Orem. I was just around Pleasant Grove. I don't know if he was like I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was there. And so we started chatting, and I go and I'm like, nice to meet you. And I go and I get in my car and I back up and I just hear, and I'm getting chills. I just feel, stop the car and get out and thank him. And I was like, no, that's fucking weird. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
It was like, thank him for his ancestors and the work that they've done, because they've contributed to your path. They honored the land. They honored a lot of the things that you do, like saging for cleansing and the connection and rituals with the earth. His ancestors were the ones that paved that way, and you need to give him thanks. And I was like, that is a weird fucking thing to do. But I stopped my car and I got out of the car and I said to him, hey, I hope this comes across in, you know, how I want it to, but I just wanted to say thank you to your ancestors because they paved the way for a lot of practices that I currently do. And he was like, no one has ever said anything like that to me. Like, thank you. And I was just like, and it was just
Why
like,
does that make me tear up?
I know, it was, I'm just like, my whole body is like vibrating. And I just was like, and he was like, thank you so much. I'm like, I'm so glad you received that well. Cause like, I didn't know how that was like going to be taken. And I was like, yeah, like, and you know, there's a lot of practices that I do that your ancestors created, and thank you. And he said, what's your name? And I said, Chelsea. And he just like, his whole face like was like, and he said, my wife and I had a baby and it didn't live, and her name was Chelsea. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And is so the end of the story, my sister also had a baby that didn't live, and it was on either, I can't remember if it was her birthday or her anniversary, and her name was Nova. And so I said, my sister also had a baby that didn't live, and today is her birthday. And we just like shared this moment. And had I never listened to spirit saying, go thank this man, we will both remember that day for the rest of our lives. Yeah. Like, I literally have goosebumps. And he just said, thank you so much. Like, he said, you know, I feel like I've gotten away from my traditions. I want to get back to them. Like, and I think that moment just kind of changed both of our lives. And it was just so powerful and beautiful. And so I think that although sometimes maybe things that spirit guides us to do may seem odd or weird, when you follow them it's rewarded in such beautiful ways.
That's so intriguing. I feel like growing up in a very religious household, you hear stories of like people like, if I hadn't listened to Spirit, like I wouldn't have whatever. Like Spirit specifically is like definitely a word that takes me back to like all of those days and all of that. And so it's interesting to see, I don't know, because in that framework they tell you if you're not worthy, if you're not doing all these different things, you don't get access to whatever.
But look at me, I'm pretty sure I was sleeping with someone at that time that I wasn't in a relationship with, and Spirit gave me insight. So everyone that's LDS out there. But you know what? I want to actually go into like, I love that you brought that up.
No, I want to get into it.
Like, because let's get into it, because people can also use that to manipulate people. Yeah. I know so many people who are part of religions that said that like, my grandma told me that Spirit told her that if I didn't go back to church, that da-da-da-da-da. And we have to remember that you have to know your own truth, because people will convince themselves that something is true because they want you to fit their agenda so fucking bad. So bad. And for me to be able to have that experience, I follow no religious practices. I pray and I'm open, but even at that time, I don't even think like that I'm nowhere where I am now as far as like my practice is. I just listened. Yeah. And I truly believe it doesn't matter if you're worthy or not, Spirit is always communicating with you. How do you think that people who are like in recovery or go into recovery, or like my dad was on drugs. Mm-hmm. Like his dad passed when he was 24 and he started like, you know, taking like pretty bad drugs, and it was like around the same time. Spirit communicates with you regardless if you're worthy or not. And I think that's one of the hardest things that about, just because we live in Salt Lake City and there's a very prominent, you know, Mormon religion, and I think that's one of the most difficult things about it is that there's so much emphasis around you have to be perfect, you have to be worthy to receive these things, and it's not true.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that took years for me to like put together, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's almost set up in a way of like, yeah, God only talks to the people he wants to, but it's like, why would he do that?
It's
like,
not true.
It's just not true.
Yeah.
Anyway, inspiration's everywhere. Inspiration's everywhere. Yeah. I mean, and we can get off of the breakup topic if you want.
No, let's stay on the breakup. Let's stay on the breakup chain. I feel like this is an episode about breakups.
I know. Well, and I'm learning a lot. And really, what I'm actually using this podcast to do is to steal your time for an hour to learn everything. And
this is your coaching. This is like your coaching sessions. You're like, wait,
no,
how can
seriously,
I actually wait? This works out. This works out. You're actually in my coaching program right now.
No, and then I'm like, okay, if anybody else gleans any insights, like that wasn't by design.
Yeah.
That wasn't my design.
Yeah. No, I mean it works.
I'm wondering. There's this poet, can't remember who it was, way back in the day, who basically talked about how she was like dying and she was at the end of her life and she felt like she was still carrying like the weight of all of these things that she had experienced, and that she was so heavy by the time that she was dying. I can't remember what poem it was. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It'll go in the dump.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if I do think that we're shaped by all of our experiences, and I think that there's like an imprint of every single person that's ever been in my life on like all of our hearts, you know, but how do you move through that, still carry those things with you and not like be weighed down by them? Or is it something that you have to eventually set down, or like, and is setting down something actually forgetting about it? Like, how do you, like, what do you think?
It's funny. The first thing that comes to mind is one of my favorite artists, and I just saw him live in Denver at Red Rocks, which was another path of following my intuition, which
I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. But she says, let that old story go. And his wife actually has a lot of poetry in his music. And she has a poem that says, I have died 1,000 times. And I think to what you're asking about carrying things is learning how to let go of our own stories, how to let go of things that we have picked up. And one of the ways, so I was on mushrooms once in Bryce Canyon, and I connected with this tree. and this tree,
Powerful. Some of you wouldn't get it, and it shows. And it shows.
And this tree, the message that I received is the earth is constantly alchemizing energy for us. She is the master of taking things and transmuting it. Think about every winter, things die, they decay, they go into the earth, it creates fertilizer, and new things grow. The earth can do that with us too. So there are practices that you can do with the earth to pass on some of that stuff and to ask her to take it. And I know that might sound a bit odd for maybe people who, aren't necessarily, doing some of these practices, but I think it's a really important message to share that is available to us. And so a lot of times I will go and I'll put my feet in the ground and I'll cry and I'll just allow all of the feelings and the emotions, and I envision it just running through my body. This is energy work, by the way. Running through my body, going through my feet, going into the ground, and just letting it go and letting it go and letting it go. I think that crying gives opportunity to let things go. I think that learning the lessons gives you opportunities to alchemize. So to say that, this was this once and now it's changed into this is another beautiful way to be able to let go. I don't think you have to carry everything with you until the end of your life. I think when you suppress your emotions, then maybe potentially you will. But I feel very fortunate that I've been through a lot of things that have caused me a lot of pain. I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. I've been ghosted, like all of the things, and lost loved ones. And, being in that grief and sitting in the grief and finding activities and ways that I can move my body and let it go or give it to the earth has allowed me now new perspective and opportunity to look at my life and say, but look at all these beautiful things that it gave me. And you can't do that when you're in the middle of it. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. If you're in the middle of grieving, it's really hard to say, look at all these beautiful things that life gave me. It's like, fuck this. But when you have some time and some separation from it, typically you can see some of the things. Like I have an ex-boyfriend that he really taught me how to love myself. And I could go on, and it's really just, and that is the pathway to letting go and to moving on. And the last thing I'll say is just the Trevor Hall about, letting that old story go. Also understanding, we talked about this in the last episode, the stories that you're telling yourself, and create new stories, because you are deserving. We're all deserving. And it's important to know that and to see what are we telling ourselves that isn't true, and how do we find truth. And I think that's through the earth. I think that's through the earth, and it can be through plant medicine. And that's just one journey. You can find it through so many different ways. But that's one way that's helped me to let go.
Totally.
And hot springs. You ever go sit in hot springs?
They're so healing. One time, I didn't realize it was going to turn on my jewelry black.
Oh, yeah. You got to be careful.
You got to be really careful. But it was a good experience, I guess. I don't know. I was like 18.
Does that answer?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally. It's hard to not feel guilty for like letting something go sometimes, like if something meant so much to you, if something like impacted you so much, if you love something so much, it's so hard to be like, and now I let it go. Like it's hard to not feel guilty about that.
Yeah. But it's like, I think a lot, I love to, like I said, I keep coming back to the earth. I love to look at the earth as an example, because the earth just does. Yeah. She rains and your party's canceled, and the earth doesn't feel bad about that.
Nope.
There's no guilt. She's just doing what she needs to do. The earth knows how to continue this life that we live. And that's the reason why I bring it up, is because I think a lot of women carry guilt, and it's very feminine energy. And so I think that it's important to understand, you know, God, these cats, they're so distracting.
What's crazy is I was locked in.
I'm so sorry. I get locked in, but I get like distracted, and it takes me.
It's okay.
But I mean, yeah, like the earth, she doesn't feel bad. And we are feminine energy, just like the earth. And so that's shadow work of being able to see where you're triggered, and to see that like, this makes me feel like I'm doing something bad or I'm being wrong. But if you know it's what you need to do, and you know that letting go is what you need to do, then you don't need to carry the guilt with you.
Yeah.
Guilt is just like a defense mechanism. Shame, guilt, they're all just defense mechanisms to keep us in connection, because connection is survival. And I think it's just about being able to sit with the emotion and not act on it, and give yourself grace as you move through it, and just let guilt be there with you. Mm-hmm. You know, those emotions movies are so wise. Like, what are those?
Inside
Out?
I was just listening to the Amy Poehler podcast on my way up here, and she was talking about.
Was she talking about it?
It was the episode that she came out with today with the girl from SNL. I can't remember her name, but this girl that she was interviewing. I'm hating that I can't remember her name, but she's currently on SNL, and she dresses like very eclectically, and like she's always like her haircut's always weird, her makeup's always weird, and like that's just kind of her thing. Mm-hmm. And Amy Poehler, who is the voice of Happy or Joy, she was like, you do things from the outside in, and it's time to flip it.
Yeah.
Like, do things from the inside out.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. You said that literally as I was parking my car.
That's funny. Yeah. But I mean, it's true. And in that movie, I believe that like when anxiety was kind of just like freaking out, the emotions, they like all came together, and they just like, it's not like they got rid of anxiety. They just learned how to be with anxiety. And I think that's the same for humans and our emotions too, is like, I think we need to learn how to be with things more. We're in such a society where it's like, oh, like, I'm depressed and I have to get rid of it, or anxious, I have to get rid of it. I'm ADD and I have to get rid of it. I've got to get rid of all of these things. And I was like, well, have you ever thought about actually like sitting with them and building a relationship with them? Because maybe that's the key, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're constantly trying to get rid of something, you're just avoiding it and you're creating bigger shadows. But if you have the capacity to be able to feel sadness, like think about it. If you run away from sadness, sadness will always be there. But if you have the capacity to be able to sit with sadness, you can move through it. It's like a storm. Like you can wait out the storm. Sadness, of course, like there are, you know, some serious things that can happen. Like people can get really depressed, there's suicide and you know, things like that. But you have to understand that like when it comes to just the actual emotion, there's nothing wrong with feeling an emotion. So if you can allow yourself to just feel and be with the emotion, that's how you alchemize it. That's how you grow. That's how you let go. Mm-hmm. It does something where it just loosens it up. It's like, I always think of King Arthur and like pulling out the sword. It's like when we're trying so hard, you can't get it out. But with just like patience and slowness and just being, you can remove things, but you're not going to remove it with force or fight.
Yeah. So much easier said than done.
It's so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Interesting.
And I think everyone, I just always like want to reiterate that everyone's on their own journey, and you know, just because these practices have worked for me doesn't mean they're going to work for everyone. It's just me learning how to sit with my sadness has actually made me a stronger human being. I can cry about things that happened like 5, 6, 7 years ago, even my childhood, and I don't have to act on anything. I can just be with myself crying. And that's okay. And then eventually, like, I'm not crying anymore.
Yeah.
It passes.
That gives Queen of Pentacles. She would cry.
She would cry and she would sit in it, and she would then grow a garden with her tears.
Yeah.
High five.
Thank you, girl. No, that's it. Yeah, it's like totally true. Okay. I'm interested. When you gave me my reading, the Devil card came up.
Yeah.
And it comes up again today.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about it, You told me it's not something to like be afraid of. It's not something to be like, it's not like inherently an evil card.
No, it's not an evil card. It's just addictions, it's patterns, it's cycles. It's the things that keep you entrapped.
Do you feel like, how do you feel like that plays into like your Queen of Pentacles journey?
You know, okay. So when I was younger, I developed a very anxious attachment style. And it wasn't until I was maybe 28 years old, I was going through a breakup, and I found the book Attached. And I realized, oh, I have an anxious attachment style. And what that anxious attachment style did is it kept me in a relationship that was not good for me at all, because I was too anxious to let go, and I abandoned myself over and over and over again to stay in relation with somebody who was continuously hurting me, continuously cheating on me, and continuously abandoning me, was never resolving conflict, always gaslighting. There was never any sort of solution. And if I was in a, what I would say, wise mind, which is like a middle state, I wouldn't stay in that type of relationship. But because I was anxiously attached, I stayed in it, and I didn't want to be in it. And I loved certain aspects of him. I do have to admit, there was a lot of things that we did that we had a lot of fun, and I'm so grateful for that period of time because I was able to experience the world. I was able to travel. Like, I just want to make it very clear that like life is not good or bad. It's not one or the other. It can be both. It can be that there was actual true love there, and I did not want to be treated that way, and I stayed because I had an anxious attachment style. That's the devil card, that cycle of staying in something that isn't good for you, but you don't feel strong enough to be able to leave. And the work that I had to do is I had to learn how to sit with myself and to not act on the impulses. I remember when we broke up for the last time, I always,
Real,
because,
by the way.
yeah, very real. We would break up for like a day, like it was like hours, and this was like the actual real breakup. And why we would get back together is because I would go back, I would fawn, and I would say, no, I don't want to break up. But it was I didn't want to be treated that way. I just was attached.
The devil, you know.
The devil, you know. And so, you know, it took me, I remember going into the closet, and I was on the floor bawling. And I said to myself, you have to sit with this. You cannot go back to him to ease the pain that you're feeling right now. You have to be strong enough to feel the pain and to move through it, or you will always go back. And I was doing EMDR and energy work and a lot of other things. So I had tools and I had people to help me, but I decided in that moment that I was never going back.
Powerful.
That is, now I have to be honest with you, I've repeated the pattern in a couple of relationships for sure, but each time it's had less power and less control over me. And now currently in my life, when those emotions arise, or I feel like I need to reach for someone to ease the pain and discomfort that I'm feeling, I've learned to give it to myself. The comfort that I'm seeking and I'm searching in other people, I learned how to give myself that comfort. And that's a lot of what I teach women in my coaching as well. Because there's a lot of women that are in relationships that they don't want to be in because they just can't sit with themselves. And that is how you get to the Queen of Pentacles.
Yeah.
Is you learn to sit with those emotions, and you learn to be in the space where you nurture and you comfort and you love yourself. Because it was coming out of a lack of self-love and self-worth and self-value. And how I built that self-worth and that self-value is I started treating myself like someone who is valuable. Someone who's valuable is not in a relationship with someone who's continuously cheating on them. So I don't care how hard it is to leave this person. It's not valuable to stay somewhere where someone is not respecting you.
Yeah.
And your self-respect has to be stronger than your desire to get validation from someone who does not give a shit about how you feel.
Gee.
Right? I had a feeling there's going to be some realness on the pod today.
Some realness. Having some breakup realness. Yeah.
But your self-respect has to be stronger. And I'm really proud of you because with your relationship specifically, when you guys broke up, you went no contact like pretty much immediately. And you were like,
yeah.
And I'll be honest, there's been, you know, even like within the recent couple years where like I broke up with someone and I let it drag on for a little while because I didn't want to lose that person.
Totally.
And I think that it takes a lot of self-respect and a lot of just really standing in your own power and just being able to be in the discomfort to make decisions like that because you're not comfortable right now. It hurts and it sucks.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that you have to treat yourself like a person who has value. Even if you don't feel like that in that moment, you have to treat yourself. Like, I would never let my best friend ever experience all of that.
Yeah.
Not that I, like, went through anything terrible, but it's like, I would never let my best friend go back to the person that, like, broke up with them.
Yeah.
It's like, they chose to be out of your life. And I think, honestly, that's what's changed about this specific breakup is every other time I've been in a breakup, I've been the one that ended it. And this is the first time that my ass has been dumped. And it's totally different. I think when you break up with somebody, there is that guilt of like, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to hurt you. Like, you know, this is somebody that I love. I don't want to I don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to make you feel bad. I know how sucky it is to go through a breakup. Like, I don't want to put all those feelings onto you. But when I'm not the one who made that decision, it's been interesting to see how I'm like, you were rejected. It's embarrassing to go back. Like, that's literally the thought process that I have in my head currently. Yeah. One day it's going to be my higher self being like, okay, you're a person of value and you don't go back to things that don't want you and serve you. But it's also like, that's embarrassing to go back right now. And like, that's the like talk track that I have to have in my head. But I've also been in relationships that ended 3, 4, 5 times in the span of a couple months. Exactly like you were talking about, like those long ass breakups just suck.
Yeah.
And
they suck the soul out of you too.
They do. And you can't say that it's by the 4th or 5th time that you're breaking up with somebody, you can't say that that comes from a place of self-love or love for that person.
No.
Like, that's just...
It's selfishness. And I think that a lot of us are selfish.
Yeah.
And I think that I want to say something. 2 things can be true. I think it's really important for people to understand that someone could really love you and also just not have the capacity to like treat you the way that you want to be treated, to be in your life in a way in which is going to transpire in a way for you to be able to build the life that you want. There's so many things that we don't know, that we haven't experienced yet, that later it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to understand that like someone can love you and break your heart.
Totally.
Because it's oftentimes their lack of capacity or ability to be able to give you what you want, not what you're doing. And if it is sometimes what you're doing, you don't want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with who you are. Because it's up to you to love all the parts of yourself that you deem unlovable or unworthy. And if you can't have a partner that reflects that back to you, that can also have the capacity to hold space for the parts of you that are still growing and learning, they're not the one for you.
And it is up to you to love all the parts of yourself. That's where this concept of like shadow work comes in. Not like I'm an expert about it. I literally learned about it 2 weeks ago, but it's like it totally does come in. It's like if I spend all of my life running away from these pieces of myself that I feel like are too much, that I feel like are too loud, that I feel like are too sad, whatever, like I'm never going to learn to just be with that
Well,
piece
you're
of
never
me.
going to grow because the thing is that the things that we avoid, there's a children's book that I really love about a dragon. And essentially like the little boy's like, there's a dragon in the house. And the mom's like, dragons aren't real. And the dragon just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger until their house is like taken over by the dragon. And as soon as they acknowledge the dragon, it shrinks back to normal size.
Oh.
And so that's why I say make friends with these parts of yourselves, because if you avoid the problems, they're going to just keep continuing to get bigger. But if you can face the problems and you can look at them, and you actually have the ability to be able to create a solution. I say this all the time, that like if there's an abandoned house and no one does the work to fix it up, the house is going to continuously stay abandoned and it will just keep getting worse. But that one person who's courageous, who can go into the house and say, I'm going to fix this up, that's the person who's doing the work. They're not avoiding it. And you can create beautiful things when you face the ugly and say, I'm going to do the work here.
Totally. And it's expensive.
It is expensive.
It takes a long time.
And it takes a long time. And it's hard. Your back's going to hurt. I fixed up this house.
And it is beautiful. That's such a perfect example. We were talking about that today at lunch, about how you've just poured so much like heart and soul into this place, and it feels warm, inviting, and consistent. Like the vibes of this house do not change. And I could bring in the shittiest energy, which sometimes I have, and it's disarming. It like, it knows who she is. Like it's just, yeah. And that comes from work.
And I think that you know, when you say it can bring in the shittiest energy, any energy can be transmuted. And I also think that there's like probably 70 plants in this house, and they transmute energy. Like I said, the earth, she transmutes energy for us. And so they really attribute a lot to like the energy staying really consistent and clean in this house, because they're transmuting energy constantly.
And so the idea is coming up with, how do you have that within you? Like,
yeah. And how can you show up exactly as you are? You, like you said, you can show up however you are in this house and it doesn't change. That should be life. You should just be able to show up exactly as you are, and it doesn't have to shake you.
Yeah.
You can be with that. It's okay. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to have bad days or bad feelings. We're so apologetic and I'm so sorry, I'm in a bad mood. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It just matters because we as humans perceive it to be negative, but there's nothing wrong with crying.
Yeah. Well, and I think about, like, I would never, like, if you came to me and some guy was like, you came to me and you said, I'm with this guy, he says I'm too much, he says I cry too much, he says I talk too much, he says I talk shit too much, he says all this shit, I'd be like, break up with his, like, he does not deserve you.
He doesn't deserve you.
But then when I think about, like, myself, if I can't hold space for those pieces of myself, like, I'm stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that picture that has been so recently painted for me, I, like, have been able to, like, see how that does apply to my own soul. Like, do I have space for the parts of me that yaps too much? Do I have space for the parts of me that cries too much? Like, can I stop saying too much and just be, you know?
Yeah. I think that the more that I just embrace who I am and I don't put shame over it, the less I really care if other people accept me or not. So if I'm emotional and I embrace that and I accept that, and then a man is like, you're too emotional, I'd be like, oh, well, I don't care because I embrace and accept that side of myself. So if you don't like it, you can kick rocks.
Yeah.
Whereas before, when I was younger, if someone didn't like the way that I was, I was changing.
Totally.
And that's not authentic.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be accepted and loved, right?
An anxious attachment style will make you do that.
But when you love yourself and you accept yourself, you don't need to seek it outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm. God damn it.
Also, we were joking the other day about, like, when a girl breaks up with a guy, or like, and we were like, good for her.
Yeah,
but then if, like, a guy breaks up with a girl, we're like, fuck him.
He's the worst.
How dare he? You deserve better.
Oh, it's so true.
It's so biased.
And I acknowledge the double standard there.
It's a double standard. It's a double standard. It really is, but it is what it is.
Like the earth, it just is.
It just is. Thank you guys for joining us on this breakup journey.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for joining me on my breakup journey. I'm thankful to have every one of you here.
Yes. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.